What up, what up? Welcome to another video. Quick shout out to this light right here that I'm about to install in the next video, so don't miss out. That's the Aqua Sky 3.0 LED light. But hey, in this video we're going to go over installation of the Fluval FX6 Canister filter. And I'm going to take you step by step. I'm not going to really do many cuts. This is going to be a long one, I'm not going to lie to y'all, so hold on to your butts, because it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be very informative in terms of what you should, what you shouldn't do, how to install this thing, the step-by-step process, and how much of a pain in the you-know-what it can be. So let's just get into it. I hope you enjoy the video. So basically what you see me doing here is just prepping my space, the tank itself, and the stand for installation of this filter. As you can see right here, I'm going to go ahead and try to move it forward on one side, which is the side where the filter is going to go, in order to create some space for my extension cord, whatever plugs I might need, kick the ball out from underneath the tank that belongs to my dogs. And you just want to make sure that you have enough clearance back there while you're doing this, because once you have it all set up and you move it into place exactly how you want it, as soon as you start introducing water to your tank, good luck trying to move it afterwards. You're talking about hundreds of pounds that you need to move. And as you guys can see, I only got the tank filled right here up to like a quarter of the way full, and it is hefty. I will stress that if you are somebody who's trying to do this with a similar situation where you have your tank on your stand already and you need to move it, please be very careful with where you lift your stand from, being that you have all that weight on top. So as you probably saw, I gripped my stand from the legs on either side instead of grabbing it from the edge of like the top, to avoid ripping off any screws or whatnot, or just causing any damage to the stand itself. So anyways, here you can see I have these clips that go over and around the edge of the top of the tank that will hold my hoses in place. And I'm just taking off the retaining clips right now, so hopefully you guys can see that. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but in the compartment where the filter will go, there's already pre-drilled holes where the power cord will go through, and also my hoses. And previous to showing you this clip right here, I did remove that shelf, which if yours comes with one, you're definitely gonna have to remove the shelf as well, depending on the size of your filter. But if you're copying what I'm doing and you're using an FX6, you're definitely gonna have to remove that shelf and put it off to the side, or do something else with it, which you guys will see in a later video. This might be annoying for some, but if you couldn't already tell, I have a little bit of an OCD issue, so I'm constantly moving things around, keeping things together in a certain way, and as you will see as the video progresses, you'll know what I'm talking about. But here what I'm doing is I am loosening up the top so that way I can get this thing opened. If you guys haven't already caught my unboxing video, definitely go check that out, where I go through all the internals of this filter, how it works, what's in it, the different sponges and compartments, and all that good stuff. So, good practice, if you're going to be doing this, please make sure you have as much surface to work with for all of your components. At this point, I started with one table for the filter. Then I realized, okay, I need another table so that way I can take everything out, see what I got, place everything all out in a certain way so I know that I'm not missing anything. And at this point, I'm like, you know, 2 tables are cool. But eventually you will see I am going to definitely go for a 3rd table. In this part right here, I am test fitting the filter to see how it's going to go in there. Now, previous to this, I have never tried to fit it in there, so I almost freaked out because I didn't think it was going to fit. But thankfully, it is like a definition of a perfect fit. Now what I got here in this bucket is Chem Matrix, and this is the biomedia that I will be using to replace the ceramic Fluval rings that the filter came with. And you would have seen that in the first video when I unboxed. Along with the Matrix, I'm going to be adding Chem Purigen. This is a chemical media that will help and aid in keeping clear water, along with your other media in there, like your sponges or whatnot. But the chemical media, in this case being the Purigen, will be the very last thing that the water hits before returning to the tank. And then lastly are these Fluval fine filter pads that will go on top of all of my biomedia, which will then have the Purigen on top of it, again being the last thing that the water touches or goes through before going back to the tank. And I'm going to construct it and put it all together here in just a second, so definitely check it out. Aha, there it is. The 3rd and final and the bigger of the 3 tables. Okay, so as we do the shuffle of items, I'm showing you here is the black skinny pad that came with the filter. From the last video that you guys saw of me unboxing, I literally just placed everything back inside as it came, and now I'm going to go ahead and deconstruct it as I go and put it in a more preferential way of filtration, if you may. So as I struggle and try to open up this bucket of Chem Matrix, which, believe me, this was more of a pain than I thought it would be. This lip on the bucket doesn't have a tearaway lip, as I guess you might think it did. So I had to literally pry this thing open with my fingertips. It eventually came off, and I hated every bit of it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bucket and I'm going to fill up the center of this tray damn near to the top. And I'm going to repeat this and fill up all 3 trays. So thankfully, 1 bucket of this Chem Matrix is exactly all you need in order to fill up the bottom 2 trays and give you a halfway fill on the 3rd tray, which you'll see what I do with that. Also take note that if you do not, which I recommend, but if you do not rinse out your Chem Matrix before applying it into your trays, it will leave behind quite a bit of residue. So as you can see on that table where the bucket is sitting, when I poured that into the tray, all of that dust fell down to the bottom. Here I got the media socks, those ceramic Fluval rings that we won't be using. I'm going to put those to the side. Also, they do come with these red trays, which is cool. And then there's more Fluval rings there. I'm just removing everything from the center. The only thing that I'm going to keep into this filter as it came are the outside white sponges. And again, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the next tray damn near to the top, but not too much. I don't want it to overflow or have the media itself go over the lip or onto the sponge area once the water starts flowing through it. So I'm going to stack that one on top of the last tray that I filled up. And again, as you can see, a lot of dust and little particles that fall through the grate if you don't rinse this prior. And you'll see that once you install your filter and get water running through it, once you initially start it up, there will inevitably be a white dust and plume in your water from whatever residue you didn't rinse out prior, but this is okay. The filter will pick it back up and it'll clear up eventually, so do not panic if you forget to rinse it out. And then on this third tray, I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest of the biomedia. I did really good at keeping in the majority of that rest, like that leftover dust inside that bucket, instead of pouring all that dust in it. Go ahead and seal that back up. We are done with the Fluval matrix. Put that to the side where I don't have to worry about it and see it again. And I'm going to pick up my last tray, maybe give it a little shake. Look at all that dust. Holy schmaquetes, or holy moly. You even saw a little bit of dust kick up there. There's going to be little tiny, smaller pieces that might fall through, but no worries. You don't really want those. You want the pieces that are going to stay put. Okay, now lastly, I'm going to take these Fluval fine filter pads. Just one. There's 3 that comes in a box. I'm only going to take one. And I'm going to go ahead and place it on top of that biomedia on the top tray. And then I'm going to take my Seachem Purigen and I'm going to go ahead and open that up. There should only be 1 pack per one of these packs. And once you open it up and you look at it, it's going to seem like a bunch of little white beads. Almost like silica packs that would come in some merchandise when you purchase. And I went ahead and spread it out evenly and placed it right on top on the center of that fine pad. And that should be the top rack that will complete this trifecta of filtering goodness. So as if I even need to explain, as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm shaking the other 2 trays because I noticed that I only shook the 3rd tray. And I'm getting as much of that residue out as possible so that way it doesn't go into my water, even though I know there is going to be some left over. I mean, imagine the little left over compared to having all that dust that you see on the table in comparison in the water. No, thank you. So once I've gotten them all shaken out and all that residue out as much as possible, I'm going to go ahead and stack them up and put my red T-handles on either side to create this one giant unit of a filtration system. So I can pick up all 3 trays and place them nicely back into the bucket, creating my canister filter. So you guys might be questioning, like, damn, Mike, if it comes with all those things in the filter already, why remove it and not use it? Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, personally, experimenting in the past and me not being completely new to this hobby, I know what works best for me, and what works best for me might not always work best for others. And it also depends on the kind of fish that you're keeping, the size of your aquarium, the water parameters you want to try to maintain, and all kinds of things. And I have learned that with how I run my tank, I try to use as little chemical media as possible, so I don't run carbon. The Purigen is not necessarily needed, but I already had it, so I'm going to throw it in there as something to help keep my water clear. But honestly, how I run my tanks and how I manage them with 80% water changes every single week, my water is clear regardless. So that's just like an added preventative, I guess, is what you can say. Once you have your internals figured out and you put everything back inside, what you're gonna want to do is start filling up your filter with that tank water. Now, it does say specifically how much to put in per the manual and instructions of this filter, but personally, all I did was I just kept filling it until I was about 3/4 of the way full. This filter is a self-purging filter, and it will fill itself up regardless of how much water you put in it. But this is just good practice because this is helping to prime the motor and the filter itself, so that way it's not overworking itself the moment you plug it in. You're really helping it out by filling it up most of the way, so that way when it kicks on for the first time, it's not really going to struggle, and you'll see the result of the filter actually doing its job sooner than later. Because if you don't fill this thing up with water, it might take forever for the pump to finally suck all the water in, filling the filter up itself until you see any water coming out of the outflow valves or the the portion of the filter that spits the water out. So while this is happening, allow me to step in real quick and give myself a shameless plug on a few things, right? So as you guys may have noticed, I'm wearing this super clean, super dope, super awesome hoodie with my logo on it. It's TGM. If you guys haven't already figured it out by this point, TGM stands for That Guy Mike, which is me. I am him in this case. And also, if you didn't already know, apart from YouTube, I also have an Instagram and a TikTok channel that I post all kinds of clips and information and smaller, more faster consumable media. For, the younger generation these days, we know that, sometimes we like our content in bite-sized pieces while we're doing things. So that way we're not stuck to the monitor or on our phone for 42 or 45 minutes at a time, like this beefy, chunky, thick video is. And I do apologize, but yeah, some people like long form content, other people don't. So for those who like the long form content, well then here you go. You are very welcome. This is, yes, a pretty tedious video, but also I'm just making sure not to leave out anything, so that way, if this is your first time installing this filter, or any filter in this case, here you go. You know exactly what it takes. Moving along, what you see here is me adding Seachem Prime. Now, Seachem Prime, along with a bunch of other things, but to keep it simple, Seachem Prime is your water conditioner solution. This is going to go ahead and take out any of those chemicals and chlorine from your tap water, making it safe for your fish. So go ahead and pause the screen if you need to and read all that goodness for both of these products. The second thing I want to add in here is Seachem Stability. Now, Seachem Stability is bacteria in a bottle. Again, keeping it very simple in explanation. This one you're definitely going to want to make sure that you shake up pretty good, so that way you get whatever may have fallen or settled to the bottom of the bottle, you get it nice and mixed up so you can add it. Also, to your filter or to the water of your tank. This should, in theory, kickstart your nitrogen cycle, or at least help it, adding beneficial bacteria, so that way once you start introducing ammonia to the tank, the ammonia will be broken down into nitrites, and the nitrites will eventually be broken down into nitrates, and that will complete your nitrogen cycle. If you do not know what I'm talking about, if this is the first time you're ever hearing about the nitrogen cycle, you need to do yourself a favor and do your homework. This could be the key and make the difference between you, who is an experienced or knowledgeable fish keeper, versus somebody who thinks that the hobby is as simple as adding water to a glass box and adding fish and you're done. And those are the people that are constantly having these headaches and complaints saying, hey, I just can't seem to keep my fish alive no matter how clean and clear I keep my water. They don't live. Well, the difference is the nitrogen cycle. So definitely go check out that video. Again, it might be a little bit of a lengthy one, but I promise you it's not missing any information. Everything that you're going to need to know about the nitrogen cycles in that video. So please do yourself a favor, check it out, do your homework, write down notes, whatever you got to do. Do it not only for yourself, but for the fishy friends that you're going to add to your tank, so that way you can ensure they live a long, healthy life. Here, as you can see, once I'm already done adding my solutions, adding water, put the top back on, snapping all the fasteners in place, and you're going to want to tighten them similar to how you would tighten the bolts on your wheel of your car. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock position, and then alternate in a star pattern until you get them all tightened up, which in the maintenance world in the Air Force, we used to call it good and tight, or German tight. Good and tight. Nothing too crazy. You don't want to smoke them down. You don't want to break them. Just enough to keep a seal. Here we have our hose. Now, if you saw the unboxing video, you already know it comes with this one long piece of hose. I went ahead, after fighting with it because it's nice and coiled up, found that halfway point on the hose, and I'm just taking a regular pair of scissors that you would have in your kitchen, and I'm cutting it in half. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just cut that thing in half, and then boom, you'll be left with two pieces of hoses that you will use for both your intake and your outflow, or your outtake. I don't know. I seem to be struggling with what to call that part where the water goes out of the filter into the tank. You guys tell me if I'm missing this, because I can't think of the damn word. And here I'm installing the elbows, or the shutoff valves, for both intake and outflow. And these are actually pretty cool, pretty sleek. It's an awesome design. You literally just have to line it up with the male ends on either side and push them down onto those male ends, and it will click and lock into place, but still be able to swivel around, so that way you can position these hoses in any direction that you need. Now here, you're going to realize that I make a very crucial mistake that I will figure out later in the video, but it's something to keep notice of. I want you guys to also see my mistakes along with what I do right, so that way you guys can learn from me and avoid them yourself. So maybe while we're going along, you can catch them before I even say what it is. Just pay attention. So I went ahead and installed the intake portion of the filtration to one of the hose pieces that I cut, and I went ahead and positioned it in the tank where I want it to be. Now that's just me looking back and forth, making sure it's straight up and down. Part of, at least for me, the aquarium keeping hobby is making sure that everything looks good, making sure that it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And that's just me and my OCD, right? Some people just don't care. They'll throw it in there. As long as it works, it's good for them. But for me, I like to go the extra mile. I want to make sure that, you know, it all looks good and it's presentable in case I have any guests that come over. I mean, it is literally in a position in my house where it is going to be a showpiece, and it's going to be one of the things that you see immediately when you walk into the house. So I want to make sure that whoever comes to visit, it catches their eye, and I want nothing but positive vibes and a positive experience when they see it. The last thing I want people to think is, what the hell is this box of dirty water just sitting here with fish that are struggling for their lives in this gunk? Yeah, no thank you. Now I'm going to take the other hose, attach the part where the water comes out of the filter or the outflow. Again, the cool thing about this filter is that it comes with a dual-headed outflow, and on either one of those nozzles, they are both adjustable on a socket, on a ball socket. So you can literally point it in any direction that you want, in two different directions. In this case, I will be pointing it in an upward position to cause plenty of surface agitation to the water, which in turn oxygenates the water, which is really good for the fish. And it creates a nice flow in the tank, starting at the top, hitting the other side of the tank, flowing downward and coming back towards the intake of the filter. So in reality, with the way that I'm positioning this, it'll cause a circular motion of water in my tank, which will keep the fish nice and active and swimming. If you don't already know, African cichlids, specifically peacocks or alunicara, love to swim constantly. They are very active fish. And so this will both help them, but also help flow all of the detritus and all the crap and all the gunk that comes from the fish or anything else, and feed it and direct it straight towards the intake, so that way it can get picked up by the filter, get it all cleaned up before reintroducing it to the tank. So there is a method to the madness. What you see me here doing is putting in those retaining clips that I showed you earlier in the video. So that way it holds those hoses in place and it keeps it nice and firm to the glass when it makes this curve up and around the edge. So that way it's not bulging too much from the top. So here I am directing the hoses down and through one of those pre-cut holes that were meant for the hoses. But you'll see soon that this ends up being one of my first mistakes. Now you're probably realizing, what the hell? What are you doing? Well, remember, I made that first mistake, and we're literally witnessing me making my second mistake right there. Now, you'll see in a second, I'll explain. But yeah, it makes no sense to install your intake and your outflow attached with your hoses first, because then you won't be able to properly measure the length needed coming from the filter to those points. And here I went ahead and I found my second mistake, which was I put the hose on the control valves or the flow valves without first putting on my retaining clips or rings, which will hold these hose, which will, man, words are hard sometimes. These clips or these rings that are tightened with a flathead screwdriver or with a small socket will help squeeze these hose ends to the control valves, so that way when pressure is put through, these hoses won't just pop off, causing a flooding of water all over my living room. So that was the second mistake, and thankfully I caught it. And now I'm going ahead and installing these fasteners so that way the hose is nice and secure. I will eventually take out the other hose, attach it the same way that you see here. And once both hoses are attached to the filter first, I will then position the filter underneath in that cubby where it belongs, and then I will shove those hoses up through the holes. And then I will cut these hoses appropriately to the length that I need for my intake and outflow. And now the reason why you want to cut your hoses to the exact length and not leave any slack in them is because the more slack there is in your hose, the more or the farther the water has to travel within your hoses from your filter. And that just causes extra stress on the motor of the hose, but also reduces the amount of water flow that your filter can produce. Once again, shout out to this super clean, sexy hoodie that you see here. Yo, if you guys want one, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up in any way that you can. Doesn't matter what platform. If you want a hoodie, you want some merch, let me know. I got hoodies, I got t-shirts, whatever you need, I got you. And you tell me what color. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Here, you're about to notice and witness a little bit of a struggle bus. So I'm going to go ahead and direct my hoses up and through that upper pre-cut hole, I should say. Shout out to Nike for not sponsoring this video, by the way. Keep your eyes to yourselves. Keep your eyes, guys, up in a different location. Focus on what the video's about, not on the Nike branding there. Almost had a little bit of a risk, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, once I got those hoses up and directed through the hole, the struggle came from trying to lift this filter up and finesse it into this perfectly sized cubby. I'm trying to tell you guys, if you got this stand just like I did from, I believe I got this one at PetSmart. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you guys have ever seen it. The pocket here, or the cubby, is perfectly sized for a Fluval FX6. Anything bigger and it will not fit. This is the absolute limit in terms of the size of filter that you can fit in this thing. Kind of weird, but maybe you'll see it in here in a shot in a second, but the motor of the filter will have to point towards you or towards the door, which is where the power cord is connected. But thankfully the power cord is long enough and the cubby is deep enough that it still covers and the door can shut. It'll slide shut. And I can't stress enough how perfect of a fit this was. Any larger by any measurement, this thing will not fit. So sick. So happy and excited this worked out. So now, as you can see, with the hoses through and up and over, there is a lot of slack, a lot of extra hosing that's unnecessary. So I'm gonna have to measure it, figure out where I need to cut it to go ahead, then connect my intake and outflow and position it where I want it to be. And like I said before, you want as little slack as possible in these hoses, and you want a direct feed to the filter and out the filter with as little bends, curves, and twists as humanly possible to maintain a high output of water and also to alleviate any extra unnecessary stress to the motor of the filter, so that way you can get as much life out of this thing as possible. This will be a good time to mention, if at any point in this video you come across something that I'm using or that I'm talking about and you want it for yourself, I will have a link for all of these things in the description of this video. It'll take you directly to the source on Amazon where you can purchase it. And yes, it is an affiliate link, so anything that you purchase using one of these links will definitely help me out to build and grow this channel at no extra cost to you. It'll just throw me a little chump change here and there, which will help me give you guys a better product at the end of the day. So definitely go check it out. And the beautiful thing about clicking on these links and looking at the products that I'm showing you guys is if it's not something that you want, but you want to see what other things are related to those items that maybe you will want, you can still browse using that link, and whatever you buy, again, will help out this channel a lot. And I will love you long time for it, that's for sure. So definitely go check it out. And again, if you are interested in any merch, for whatever reason, definitely hit me up. I got you. We'll talk offline and we'll see how we can get that stuff to you. Here's something to think about and consider when trying to figure out where and how you want to place your intake. In this case, with the FX6, it comes with an intake that extends and retracts. So as you see it here, I didn't extend it at all. I just left it as is. But if you had a deeper tank, you could extend it almost twice the length, which is actually pretty cool. And another thing to consider is if you have it too close down to the sand, depending on what kind of substrate you're running, if you're running sand like me, you might not want to have it too down low towards the sand because you don't want any of that sand getting sucked up into the filter, but just low enough to where it will try to pick up any poop or anything that's laying down on the sand close enough, and we'll be able to pick it up. Now, if you're running gravel, bigger rocks for like substrate, then yeah, for sure, you can definitely put it down lower towards your substrate without having to worry about it picking up any of those rocks and getting sucked into the filter. But just be cautious is what I'll say, because you definitely don't want anything that isn't supposed to go into your filter to go into your filter. And once again, you're going to see me struggle. Look at that face. Put my filter, or not my filter, but my entire tank and stand back into place where I want it. This might be different for you depending, but again, you want to make sure that you're working with some clearance while installing this. And once you have it to where you want it, and only when you are pleased with how you have it all connected, then you're going to want to put it back into place. This is one of those things, guys, you want to do it right the first time, because you don't want to keep doing this. It puts a lot of strain in your back, and you could hurt yourself if you're not careful. If you guys want to see how this thing runs now that it's all connected and put into place, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. Let's get to talking. And yeah, stay tuned for that video.